Hi, so today me and Celine are going to conclude our mini project for our family Viveridae. Some of our vulnerable species include otter civet, binturong, and Jose civet. The reason why their numbers are decreasing is because of habitat loss, water pollution, habitat fragmentation, illegal wildlife trade, genetic bottleneck, limited geographical range, and genetic isolation. And this is our phylogenetic tree for the gene SOX3 and SOX9. The lineage distribution for Viveridae. They are members of the order Carnivora and are found throughout Southeast Asia and Africa. They have around 30 species including civets, gannets, linsangs, and binturongs. Hemigelinae, Paradoxurinae, and Viverinae are some examples of their subfamilies. The family Viveridae has roots that extend back to the Miocene era. As opportunistic omnivores, viverrids eat foliage, fruits, insects, small mammals, and birds. Certain species contribute to the upkeep of ecosystems by helping in seed distribution such as palm civet.
Next, this is our synthetic blocks for SOX3 gene and SOX9 gene. Conserved gene function is a critical aspect related to the speciation of the viridian lineage by ensuring the conservation of essential biological processes within this lineage. Genes that are crucial for survival, reproduction, and adaptation to environments are strongly evolutionarily conserved across speciation events. These conserved genes are then passed down to the offspring, playing a pivotal role in shaping the characteristics of the viridian lineage after its divergence from other groups. Besides that, synthetic blocks also contribute significantly to the speciation of the Viveridae lineage. These blocks play a pivotal role in the evolution of gene clusters associated with adaptive traits. The conservation of genes within synthetic blocks ensure that genes involved in specific biological pathways or functions remain linked together. This in turn facilitates coordinated expression and contributes significantly to the adaptive evolution of the Viridian lineage.
This is the socio-demographic and survey graph based on our survey at each location. The traditional knowledge for civets in these two locations are quite similar based on our survey of 20 respondents at each location. It is shown that the older generation are generally more familiar with the species of Viveridae and have knowledge about the local names of the species and its properties as food source, which is uncommon. According to the survey conducted, civets are wild animals that keep to themselves, which leads to most people not recognizing or ever organically seeing one. Those that do, though, spend most of their time in the forest areas surrounding the location. During our survey, most of the respondents recognized the Asian palm civet, banded palm civet, binturong, and Malayan civet around their area. Species of Viveridae requires genetic rescue. These are some of the reasons, which is to improve genetic diversity in order to counteract the effects of inbreeding. Genetic rescue efforts introduce people from genetically divergent populations in an effort to boost total genetic diversity. Other than that, to enhance adaptability. A population with a greater genetic diversity is better to adjust to changes in the environment, which will ensure their long-term survival. Reducing inbreeding depression. Genetic rescue also helps reduce the detrimental consequences of inbreeding depression by introducing unrelated individuals.
Inbreeding or outbreeding depression is defined as a decrease in the fitness of offspring resulting from the crossing of close relatives or outcrosses between genetically differentiated populations. So the first proposal to avoid the inbreeding or outbreeding depression in viverrids population involved the building of a wildlife corridor. Habitat fragmentation poses a significant threat to viverrid population, restricting their ability to disperse and decreasing genetic diversity. The resulting reduced gene flow and heterozygosity alleviate the risk of inbreeding depression. To address this, the construction of a wildlife corridor is proposed. These bridges and tunnels are specifically designed for animals aimed to reduce the environmental impact of highways and reconnect isolated viverrid populations. By restoring gene flow, wildlife corridors provide a pathway for these species to move freely, in mitigating the adverse effect of inbreeding depression. These wildlife corridors are exemplified by the successful one in Sabah that prevented inbreeding depression in Borneo elephants. The second proposal is the cryopreservation, which involves storing potentially adaptive genetic material at ultra-low temperatures. This technique offers a unique solution by enabling gene transfer between geographically and temporally isolated vivarium populations. By using cryopreserved sperm for inter- and intraspecific crosses across regions, we can effectively enhance vivarium population connectivity. This method not only safeguards the adaptive genetic material, but also minimizes the risk of inbreeding and outbreeding depression.
Public awareness and perception of Vivaridae. Compared to famous species like tigers or elephants, civets are comparatively less well known. Their nocturnal lifestyle and elusiveness contribute to their reduced visibility to the broader society. Their conservation status, based on the IUCN, the otter civet are endangered, and binturong and Jose civet are both vulnerable currently. Factors related to sociodemography and public awareness. Sociodemographic variables frequently have an impact on public awareness. Higher educated people are generally thought to have better access to information and environmental awareness. Nevertheless, the correlation is not really true on this survey, as mostly older people have more information on species of Vivaridae. Initiatives for conservation. There are some which include protection of habitat, anti-poaching measures, research and monitoring, and genetic rescue programs. This fieldwork has provided insight into the degree of habitat fragmentation and how it affects population of Vivaridae. In regards to species distribution, determining where these species are found gives important information about their range and possible conservation priority regions. Programs for public education and awareness. Some of them include community outreach, school programs, media campaigns, and initiatives related to ecotourism. Thank you for listening. That's all from us.